Okay. First of all, I know as these guys were talking, some of this is right over your head. Now here's the good news about that. We all take a different take in the business, right? I mean, there's a lot of ways to be successful. And so I've always been a kind of a mindset, and I got my timer on here. I've always been kind of a mindset, I've been a mindset, is that the umbrella's big. We're going to attract people to the business. See, if you sat in this meeting right now and you said, wow, that fires me up. Right? Well, I gotta learn that. Awesome. Because you're exactly the person that needs to be doing exactly what we just said. Now, you say, well, that didn't really excite me. Or I just want to build. Okay, here's the kind of person you are. You better build like crazy and find people that are excited about looking at this meeting. And give you why. Okay, so, and because there's lots of ways, right? And so, you know, in Primerica, it's interesting, we have these different ways to go and be successful, and you can put the math to any of them. And some people think some are easier than the others, because I'll submit to you, they think it's easier, is because, why? They love it. Anything you love is easier. Now, you might not understand everything, but if you're into it, that's what you do, then you're going to pick that up and say, I want to do that. See, the greatest thing about a 65 license is you don't need one to override a 65. Just saying. Let me help you with my perspective. Now, if you're never going to hire anybody, then you need to get a 65. Are you with me? Because by not hiring anybody, you're not going to take advantage of the leverage of the system in Primerica like I have and many other people have, and Lisa was just speaking, people or leaders have. So you definitely probably need to get a 65 because it allows you to leverage you. Wonderful. Right? Is that true? I mean, it's a great way that if you're a producer and you want to do it and you don't want, let's say you just don't want the headache of people. You just like, people bug you, right? I get it, right? Like you don't, okay, well people bug all of us, but I like people at the end of the day, right? And I realized that was the place that I like that actually. I like the psychology of getting the most out of people. Now a lot of people don't like that psychology, would you agree? They don't like that psychology, it bugs them. Well then you need to probably advance as fast as you can and run through the 65 and start to do individual transactions. I love that. Why? Why? Because I override individual producers. And so will you. Do you follow me? Now I ultimately believe that the best model is some melding of the two. That's what I believe. And by the way, if you're not careful when I say melding the two, what I believe is and the way I think that through and always have is the bigger I got, the more people I brought on, I'd always expose them to this because I don't know which one to say, wow, I got to do that. So what I'm going to say, no, you don't want to do that, you want a double digit. No. If you want to do that after that presentation, right? If it fires you up, you're numbers driven. You like that. You like the idea of moving larger sums of money around. You want to leverage the assets of the company. Tear that up. Right?
That's right.
Because why? Every business has people in it that are better than them at different places.
That's right.
That's called business. You don't ignore it. You don't say, well, I'm not going to worry about that. Yeah, but we're not selling any fries. Well, get the best fryer in here. Let's see how we can sell some fries with these hamburgers. Are you with me? Because I see the whole thing. That was my thing, but I understand the power of the individual things. Just like some people don't do any securities and do all term insurance. I don't think that's a great plan either. I override them, right? You follow me? So do you if you build it. Hey man, I gave this business for their overrides. I understand that. However, I believe when you want to do the whole job for the person, I think persistently in a lot of things get better when you have a securities attached to it. Right? That's everything gets better. Why? Because it's now a plan, not just insurance. So you show me somebody with better persistency when they get bigger, and I'm telling you people that have securities attached to it. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when we do things like the reason we bring wholesalers into you guys is because you're mature enough to understand. If not, I'm going to help you where you're at, what you need to do, and attack it. Now, let's say your goal is to come out here in the first of the year and you just want to, man, I'm going to build the crap out of my business. Great. Know this is there. be aware of it. It's out in the market. You can take advantage of it, and now you build around that, right? Because you're going to find somebody who's going to sit here, like I said before, and say, that's great. But they got to get in here. This is not a greenie conversation, in my opinion. That's why we're doing it in this room. It's not that greenies are good, it's just they can't do anything with it. Right? They're just trying to get, I hope they pass their insurance license. Are you with me? And there's a high probability of what? They won't. So, okay. Like Tommy D's obviously in business in our hierarchy. And when Tom first, years ago, he said, man, I like the security stuff. I said, awesome, Tom, high five. I said, how much you like it? I'm going to do a lot of it. I like it too then. Because whatever you do a lot of, would you agree? You're going to be compensated highly. And at the end of the day, here's for me. At the end of the day, what keeps people in the business is cashkey, smashkey. Okay, did you hear that? Trophies are great, going to events back and forth 69 times, you know, an event a week to keep us going. But I realized the more events, and you need events, but I realized the more events you went to is keep the broke people that aren't making any money for a lot of reasons, right? Maybe they don't work, that could be, or maybe they don't understand. I get all that, right? That's all part of the mechanism of your franchise. But keep people excited because it keeps them going so they show up one more day. Mm-hmm. I prefer the greatest form of recognition you'll ever receive from Primerica or me is cash. Right. Okay? You get a check, that's recognition. Okay? You don't get a check, that is no recognition. How do you get a check? You got to be what? Licensed. So all our work with recognizing people and all that, but we all want to be recognized, by the way. Even people that are saying, I don't need that black stuff. I don't need all that recognition. And I'm kind of that way. I'm more of an introvert. I'm an introvert, actually. And I prefer not that. I just like, I mean, once you know you can do it, I'll give somebody else the recognition. Mm-hmm. But when you're coming through and you're building your courage, as Lisa was saying, you're building your insides and you're building your confidence, a pat on the back works. Now, it's not like a check, but it's a precursor to a check. Right? Because our business, look, we recognize what in this business? Cash flow.
Yes.
You understand how many companies never talk about cash flow? They never allow you to talk about cash flow, and they tell you not to talk about cash flow. There are people that go to other businesses out of Primerica. I laugh. It's so silly. They'll leave as I'm going so-and-so, because their people make a lot of money. I said, great, show me the sheets. That's all I got to say. Oh, they don't have any sheets. I said, then they're not making a lot of money. Because whatever you have, you sell. Now, they may have one or two. You follow me? I mean, it's real simple. Show me the sheets. They're showing what people actually make. Not what they could make, not their point value, not if you have 35 points, now we're seeing no, it's all awesome. Show me the money. Because I'm a realist about it. I came here to build a business, and a business means I get compensated. And if it gets bigger, I get compensated more, just like you, right? So I look at that conversation, all this, and I'm saying, okay, I understand it goes over your head. Once again, I get it. You're the ones that are supposed to handle these conversations. Because if you probably don't know about it, which most people don't, then how are you going to actually throw it out to somebody who's like excited about it? You're not. So be aware. Part of business, and also listen, I found that the people that do the best also are very curious people in this business. I'm curious, tell me how that works. Why does that work? Now, I may not use that slide like that, but I love having that slide under my umbrella because it gives me what? Leverage. Credibility, and they're good. They're really good at what they do. So I don't have to be great, but I got to find somebody that want to be great, and then I got to put them in front of those wholesalers. That's how you build that business. Or you get them around people like Ben or Tommy or whoever's kicking butt in securities, and you let them watch how they do it. And by the way, when you're good at securities, it looks damn easy. Will you agree with that? But getting good is not easy. So. A pro. You got to be a pro. When you see people making $1 million in securities, 500,000, they're good. Would you agree? Yeah. Because no one's giving them a check for 100, 200, 500,000, $1 million, 50,000 if they're not good enough to earn that check. Okay. So I go back to my first thing. When they said, how many don't have a 65 license? I raised my hand. But I also raised it saying, thank God. I can override 65, right? Now, if I needed it, guess what I'd have done? I'd have taken it. And I'm saying I won't take it. right? But right now, I'm not highly motivated, okay? Now, maybe they might turn and say, they get this tape and say, okay, we're changing our rules. You're good. But it's not our rules, it's the Securities Exchange rules, okay? So I'm totally excited, right? Because at the end of the day, listen, at the end of the day, most of the people who will be with you long range are going to be making what? Money. Because if they don't make money, now, it's not because Primerica is tough. Primerica is not tough. Primerica is simple. Not easy, but simple. What? So Primerica's a tough business and you're going to win. Forget that. That's a dumb conversation. Primerica's a simple business. The question is, are you tough? It's not Primerica's tough. Just because it might be tough for you, because you haven't done the right things, don't drop that seed in some new guy or gal's head that it's a tough business. And you got to be really tough to win, and you got to be strong, and blah, 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 most people quit. Is that true? Yeah, but most people quit everything. I mean, man, my goal was to own a gym. The reason you own a gym is not for the people who show, it's all the people that pay you and never show. They do membership and then they what? Basically quit. So you don't have to clean anything, take care of it. They're pretty much, that's an annuity, man. And seriously, that's why they keep it really low, because $33 times 400, 500, right? You keep all that low, because they're not going to use it. Is that my fault? No. Is it their fault? I don't know. I can't judge it. Just the 33's coming in, though, because they won. So because they believe, here's what the people is paying for, is when I get ready, I will. Awesome. Right? That's awesome. But I knew in the gym business that you made money really made money on the people who signed up and didn't show. So when I came here, because people don't show, well, really? Duh, of course they don't show. They don't show in anything. Most people quit everything. They start a church and quit. If God can't save them, I can, for sure. Do people join churches? Do they quit? That's humans. Never forget, you're in the human being business, okay? The toughest lesson in this business is human nature. And most people try to change human nature. Forget it. Your job is to find people who want to change their human nature, not you change them. Anyway, so I'm totally, this is not a negative or positive, right? This is just how I look at the business. So, I admire anybody who's good at anything from a standpoint of being good at something. Would you agree with me on that? I mean, to be really good at something, what do I know you have to do? Work your ass off. To be really good, not to fake it, but to, so I admire work ethic. I admire people who buy in. What our job, I've always felt, is to have this big umbrella where if you find something, get after it. Now, I believe a hybrid because I think that the more I have doing it, I'm going to find the people that are going to do what they want to do, super duper. But it also increases your cash flow and all the things we talked about. So it's smart. To me, it's smart business. It's not like, well, I'm just going to do this. Well, if you're going to be a builder, you want to kind of have it all under your umbrella. And so one of the things I look at, and we've said this before. I had a meeting last night. We did a great meeting last night. I think great folks. Is one of the things I've always looked at, and I think it helped me grow my business, and it was taught to me by other people, is I look at cash flow of my team. A lot of you look at how many recruits I got. Do we need recruits? You betcha. I look at my screen, all that. But I'm telling you, the most sensitive nerve in the human body leads to the wallet. And you can high five and all that. I've never seen it say, hey, I just got paid $2,000, I quit. That's not what they say. You with me? So I'm very attuned to cash flow of the folks that are buying into the business and around me, as you should be around you. So when I pull up my sheets, everything been going great, and you always go to cash flow if you have any people, because if there's more cash flow, what can my part-timers be able to do? Go full-time. Cash flow takes the fear away. It's still going to be fear. But what cash flow also does is improves competency. Because I found out something, every time I sent Primerica a check, they sent me a check. If my folks sent them a check, they sent the folks and me a check. If we didn't send them a check, what do we get? Nothing. Don't worry about looking in your, automatic deposit. Now, I was like you, like everybody else, like everybody starts and figures it out. So, does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. So we do these things at the higher level so you understand. And you're not supposed to go back and say, oh, you need to get your 65. If you're not going to get a 65, don't have to sell them on getting a 65, unless they're a securities person, they love it, and they want to go to the next level. And how do we know that? Because they're doing securities. Because they got their securities license, and they're actually doing transactions and helping clients. Awesome. Diversify. Look, I think last time, I think I have $1.2 billion under management. I don't have $1.2 billion. Our team has $1.2 billion. But I override the $1.2 billion. Are there people that are better at securities? You betcha. I mean, you can't be good at everything. If I needed, like our business, if I had something really, like I'd call Tom D, call Ben, I'd call one of our good securities producers and say, why not? It's like, if you're the coach, you don't have to be the linebacker and the running back and a wide receiver. You need to be the coach. And by the way, players are usually better than coaches, hopefully, right? Because coaches are older, right? So you want better players. So the job here is exposed. I've had people been here a long time, and they for them it was a grind to do the building side, and but they got securities and they started making $200,000 to $300,000. Is that a good thing? Yeah. It's an awesome thing. Figure out your niche and go with it. I believe in my thinking process that what I saw here was a distribution system. That's what I saw, and that included everything. And so I really wanted outlets. I want lots of outlets out there. And that's what I bought into, and that's what once again, pick your poison, pick your tool, and get after it. But none of it's going to happen without you being good. Can we agree? Mm-hmm. So you want to be a good recruiter. Okay, be a good recruiter, but what I prefer you to be is someone who's a good recruiter, which you have to be a good recruiter to start recruiting. And how about being a good recruit to solution? Right. Not perfect. So I recruit 10. Oh, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to bring Lisa on in just a second. Quick. This is a quick. Okay. I love what Shaq said about endurance. It's really, this is an endurance, and you hear that from that's the theme. It is an endurance race. It's not a marathon. It's a marathon, but here's what's interesting. It's a marathon, but you have to have two heads, two thoughts in your mind. If you're a sprinter and a marathoner at the same time. Do marathoners train differently than sprinters? Yes. Sure, because they're in it for the what? Long haul. Do sprinters really, they work out, they eat right, but do they do things differently in training than a marathoner? Why? Because they want explosive growth. You want both. You're both. And so when I say sprinting, I mean you sprint every 24 hours, you're moving, so that's a marathon, I'm going to be here a long time. If you don't learn how to sprint, you will not be here a long time. You sprint 24 hours, 7 days, and of course the ultimate sprint is a 30-day thing, right? And sometimes you have a 30-day, a contest. But sprinting is short-term, stay focused on it. But no matter what happens, I'm in it for the what? Long haul. So endurance is growth. I just said don't say it's a tough business because I've heard somebody, it's a tough business. No, it's not. It's a simple business. You have to be a tough person if you want to change your life. And obviously Lisa's opening remarks just edified that. Couple things here. Thought we're gonna get better. We're just gonna continue to get better. I thought we had album, right? But we'll get, and that's okay. I can do that. Let me talk about something else I was alluded to earlier. What was the criteria to get in here? Okay, we could have done a lot of it. Could have done full-timers, like we said, division. Because and all you gotta do is look at the sheets. I mean, the sheets, the leader sheets, will set you free mentally if you look at them correctly. If you look at them like, what's wrong with me and why is those people beating me, then it's going to beat you up. And so we usually as human beings do things, we don't do things that bug us or bother us or make us uncomfortable, agree? So you know how many people I've known, even RPs and stuff, they would never look at the leader sheets. I looked at the leader sheets because if there wasn't a place I was good at, I want to know who was good. So I could what? Copy them. Edify it. Because they had something going on in that area, right? So so if you look at the leader sheets, I would say the weakest category in Primerica, really, when I think about this, and I'm just judging over the years, is the division category. Now, why is that? Any thoughts? Why do you think division is the weakest category? What? Yeah, that's where you're independent. And if you're going by the guidelines, which blows my mind, and I know this is like, I'm taking a piece of paper and showing you, but this is what's printed on the company. You might think that you have a piece of paper. What's that? Okay, it's a piece of paper. Blows my mind that if I went to most of the folks that have people and ask them, what do they know the guidelines? Not to be an SNSD, right? Do you know the guidelines of your next promotion and the next promotion? Like, do you know how to get there? Because if this, he said, well, I haven't shown them that because they're not. No. The right person wants to know exactly how I get there. They may not understand all, but they just want to see there's a way to get there. That's all I want. I didn't understand all of it. So districts, and I say real districts, I mean, they have a license. That's why you got to be careful with, you know, you say, I need districts. So somebody will go out and pre-promote people to district leader. I don't care what you do. Pre-promote anybody. But they're not a district leader. Why? Because if they don't have a license and they can't put their name on that without you being there, it's just an extension of you.
Mm-hmm.
Confidence comes from not me doing it. Confidence, they can borrow my confidence, but real confidence comes from what? Them doing it. And until they do it, you can't head fake that. Like remember when you did your first transaction? Remember when you hired your first person on your own? Remember when you did all the first, you were like, what'd you think? Damn, I can do this. You could tell me, but when I knew it, it solidified me and anchored me in the business. So divisions, the real key to a division, by the guidelines, and I'm not getting into the guidelines with you. I mean, we got standards, awesome, great. Show me your cash flow, your people. Let's talk about your guidelines. We do it this way, great. Show me the cash flow, because that tells me if what you're doing is something what I want to copy. Because if I don't want to, I'm not. No, I don't know. I just know that, but it takes less motivation to it takes a lot less to motivate people who have what? Cash flow go up. Just cash flow go. It doesn't need a lot.
Right.
$1,000 in their pocket is like, damn, I like this. Partners are much nicer to their spouses when their little cash flow and the partner is good enough, smart enough to give it to the partner. I mean, it's like cash flow, man. It works. Now, do we want to have the dream and all that stuff's wrapped over that? But people ignore it. So I'm telling you, whatever you ignore that's important will never grow. If I dropped you in a company and you were the CEO of the company, by the way, you're the CEO of your company, you know how small or big it is. If I dropped you into that company, you would want to see all the numbers. Well, you say, well, I'm not going to look at that. And we're looking. No. Elon Musk bought Twitter. Is he looking at every number?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, because he spent $44 billion, not a $100 IBA. So, but he has the $44 billion to spend it on there because he looks at every what? Number. Do what you can do when you're small so you can have a chance to get big. So divisions require a what? They're licensed, but they require a licensed what? District. So what a lot of people do is they shoot for a target. And naturally when they hit the target, what naturally happens? They slow down. Is that true? Mm-hmm. Got it. Like people are RVP, I'm an RVP! And then they don't do anything at RVP. They got the biggest contract we got. Because they're geared to hit the target, which there's nothing wrong with that, but part of it is going through the target to the next target. So you take a breath, you don't take a vacation. Because what's your goal? To get FI, to get financially free. That's your goal, ultimately. So when somebody's getting close to district, the real test of are you going to grow? Because a district can do business. Would you agree? At some level, something called MVP. Now, when we say MVP, it means what?
Most valuable player.
Most valuable person.
Yeah.
In startups and other companies, especially startups, MVP is not the most valuable person. It's the minimum viable product. That's what it means. MVP, the minimum viable product. Hey, if you can't stay awake, give your seat up. Okay, this is not a lounge. This is the best we got. Your job is to be an RVP. All I ask you when you fall asleep, ask yourself, if you run the meeting and you fell asleep, how many people would be following you? That's all I ask you. You do what you want to do. I don't care. You need to sleep, sleep. Okay? But I'm just saying, if you got to start walking, talking, acting like the person that you want to be to get to the person, Lisa said the exact same thing, a different one. So, not now. No. Sorry. You're not you can't, if you're the CEO of your company, you're not now, how excited are people buying stock in your company? Like zero. How about if you're the quarterback of the team and we're trying to get the big game and you're in the back and you're asleep? How's the rest of the team feel about that? Well, we're not gonna do crap. Just like dragging in late, going early, all that stuff are messages to people because they listen to a lot more of what you see than what you say.
Right. Yep.
But it's okay. You know, some do, some don't. That's fine. So the division means that that person is doing the most valuable thing in our business by us helping someone get to district, which we do help them because obviously they don't have a license. So we have to help them. And then they get all these things happen. So now they can produce, right? And I hope they do. Because if they're confident, they'll produce. And by the way, if they need to make money, they'll what? Produce, because they know how. Now, is that good? Sure. Do you like a lot of districts? Lots. But the control point from being a district to the next level is when they start producing districts. Now that's the magic. Mm-hmm. See, for me, getting promoted to district leader was at least 50% of my business. For me, my confidence at 23. You know what the other 50% was? Producing districts. And having people that produce districts. So it told me I had a system, we had something going on. So all I'm saying to you is that, but if I say to you the division category is weak, what does that mean? People can get the district, but they stall out what? Producing districts. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. Why do you want that? Because why? Because they're not recruiting, because they're trying to get too good. Go back to the minimum viable product. So in startups, like especially applications and technical startups, they build a product. That could be anything. They build a product. They don't want to make it 100% perfection. You know why? Because you might build something at 100% that nobody wants. You know how many people build things and nobody buys them? Mm-hmm. True, right? Got this great idea. They spend all the money, time, effort, all those things, and all of a sudden they get out there and nobody wants it. Oh, problem. So that's happening to tech companies all the time, especially when they have like producing a lot of different technical things. Could be physical too, like machinery. But so here's what they figured out, and here's what you can figure out for the same thing. Is they said what we need to do is get the product to about 75%, and then let the consumer tell us how to get the other 25. Mm-hmm. So now we're building what people want. Numbers, how does that relate to our business? You don't need a perfect district leader. You need a district leader that's about 75% of the way there. How are they going to get to 100? By doing it. Not by you babying, holding on to it, holding their hand. No. 75%, at the end of that, the rest of it is them doing it, because that's how they get good and confident. So when you're dealing with people, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for people who want to hone their skills after they know what to do. So divisions don't have to produce super successful people. They have to produce minimum viable things. They can function. What does it mean? They can do a transaction. They can go and do the client. They got their license. That's minimum, right? And then they're going to get better by what? Doing more of it. There's another thing. It's called build, measure, learn. BML. Build, measure, learn. Not me. This is what people have been using for years. And what it says is that this is how tech companies get massive. But any company